So coroutine in C#, also known as an IEnumerator, is a method that calls itself, over and over again for a certain amount of time, but that time is independent from the time scale of your project or your game or something. So you could have, your game moving in real time every frame, and then you want some for loop to happen in the background, but slowly. So say you've got 100 elements that you need to search through. You can put it in a coroutine, and then that way your game isn't going to freeze because it's trying to calculate everything in one frame. It's going to calculate it off the side somewhere, and that can be quite useful. So I'll take you through how to make a coroutine. And because it's a method, it's almost the same as what we did here. Just 2 extra steps. So let's give it a public little field, as we did with the other one. Instead of int, we're going to call it IEnumerator. And an important thing here is that we need the actual library associated with it. So same with how we made this Unity engine right at the beginning. We now need system.collections. End it with a full stop. Scroll down. Now we can create our IEnumerator as it comes up. So this is how it's spelt. And it should turn this color, and that means you know that you're doing it properly. And let's call this capital M, my first coroutine. No input parameters for the time being. Needs its open and closed braces. And now in here we have one final step. So you may have noticed that this isn't void, which means it expects a return of type enumerator. And to do that, you write the following: yield return new wait 4 seconds. And in brackets, you're going to put how many seconds you want to wait. So let's say 1 second. I've put this F here because we want this to be a float, not a double, if you remember from part 1. Okay, we've got all of this. You got your coroutine. Now in here, you want something to happen. So let's just grab our for loop and place it in here. And then make sure the return is inside the for loop, so that we wait 1 second, then call this bit. So move the cube, loop back around, wait 1 second, move the cube again, move back around, and so on. And now we can see just how that cube is moving over time. That gives us a lot of control over what we want to do. So I'll just close this Excel spreadsheet now. Don't need that. Okay, so we've got this thing here. Let's hit play and watch it do something. So we hit play and nothing's happened. And that's because we need to actually call this. Just in the way we called our first method, we need to call our coroutine. So your first initial guess may be, what's it called? My first coroutine. You might want to do this. But you can't. Well, not directly like this anyway. What you need to do is start the coroutine by writing start coroutine. Then in brackets, you can put the one that you're referring to. But let's write it as a string. So my first coroutine, like this. And now this is a method that basically starts the clock and does this. So now that's all done, we've got it saved, go back to Unity. If all has gone well, this cube should move slowly after 1 second each time. So here we go. Okay, it's moved once a bit, it's moved again, moved off somewhere. Let's follow it. Okay, so it's moving up here, you can see how it's doing all this. Yeah. Moving this way, it's moving by... Yeah, okay, interesting. Cool. So it's moving off into the distance, very far away. You could adapt this so that its position moves in line with, an actual grid. So you know, if you've got rows and columns. What if we flip these around? Let's see what happens. And let's make it a lot smaller. So rather than 10 by 10, let's make it 3 by 3, something a bit more easier to control. Let's click play. So it moves up. Okay. Alright, so it basically moved in a diagonal line up until it got to 9. So yeah, that's the premise of a coroutine. So rather than it all happening at once, you're making it happen over time. So this could be, 0.2, and that's speeding it up. So every 0.2 of a second, it's going to do it. So if we hit play now, go like that. We can make it very slow, every 10 seconds do something. So you get the idea. And it's a very powerful tool, very, very essential for games programming, kind of useful as well for software development and all the other related disciplines, so it's still worth picking it up. But for games development in particular, you should know this sort of thing. And that's why you're being taught it now. Okay, now the other thing to go over was method. Can you explain why calling IEnumerator is different? Oh, you mean like like this, right? Instead of writing 5 first coroutine. So let's just save that and give that a whirl and see what happens. So this 10, let's make it go back to 1 second again. Okay, so now we're calling this. It's going to recompile. Doesn't look like it's going to complain, so let's hit play. Doesn't look like anything's happening. Yeah. So what happens is you're calling this like a normal method. But because you're doing that, because this is a special form of method, how am I best to explain this? Okay, so you have this first one that we made, which was the integer one, and it returns the result, just like this. With an enumerator, in this scenario, you're not just returning a value, but you're actually telling the compiler to stop for the time being. The time is carrying on like normal, but this method has a way of stopping its own internal clock before it calls the top half again, if that makes sense. And you can only access that functionality by starting the coroutine, whereas if you just call it, it can't work as intended. It's going to get to here, and then it's just going to return, just as it would here. It gets to here and returns the value back, and then you're done. Whereas if it gets treated as a coroutine, it's going to reach here, wait 1 second, and then actually do all of its things. So yeah, so that's why the cube didn't update its position, because it gets to here and then just breaks out. Whereas in the start coroutine method, that functionality then hits here and then actually knows to carry on regardless. It says, okay, we need to wait 1 second, I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to finish the coroutines actions, instead of just getting to this line and breaking out instantly. So that's the difference between the two. A bit of a convoluted explanation, but hopefully that is a bit clear. Yeah.